Live from a studio apartment during the day, this is Misinformation. This is exciting. This is my first daylight show. So if you're joining us, again, bumped up the time. Used to streaming at 9 p.m., which I've realized is probably too late for everyone. It's probably starting the show at midnight for the live stream on the East Coast, probably a little bit too late, so that's weird. This is odd. This place is usually mic check. This place is usually dark, moody, ambiance. I feel like my face is too bright. This might be too much HD. But anyways, big news. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. There's Trump issuing an ultimatum to Iran. You had Iran coming back, issuing their own ultimatum, supposedly back at Trump. Now Trump saying that we're in negotiations, almost about to end the war, right? Iran saying something different, so we're going to get into that. We got ICE at airports. Leftists, none too happy about this, but apparently it is speeding up some lines. We'll go into that stuff. And then AI cows. Believe it or not, we got some AI cows coming up. So, action-packed show tonight. Start with some jokes. Hold on, I have to prepare mentally. Oh my God. Try this out, man. I might have to restart this. We'll see how this goes. I've accidentally put it on giant teleprompter. Okay. Well, ICE agents are now helping out at U.S. airports during the shutdown. Yeah. Yeah, finally a government program where the people getting deported still have to wait in line like the rest of us. It's refreshing. They're officially Americans now. Yeah. They came for the inefficiency. Well, Trump has sent ICE agents to airports to speed up TSA lines. Yeah. Yeah, it turns out the fastest way through security is being undocumented. You can just bypass all the routine checks. It's pretty nice. So ICE should be helping out with that. Well, there's Iran has released a list of demands for ending the war. Yeah. Yeah, they've threatened to blow up one Ayatollah per day until their demands are met, or they run out of Ayatollahs. Demand number 1, stop blowing us up, please. That picture goes so hard. It looks like a movie poster. I love it. Well, Trump says he's close to making a deal to end the Iran war. Yeah, pretty big news. Yeah, it's all part of Trump's plan to win a Nobel Peace Prize by ending the war he started. Yeah, he found an infinite peace glitch. You need another prize, you just start another war. And it's not a bad plan, if I'm being honest. Them's the jokes. Let me pull up the chat. All written while I was at work. Oh, one sec. Can I get this? Of course, there's a gnat flying around. That's perfect. Get that mist info ambiance going on. Let me pull up the TikTok. In case there's some TikTokers. You shouldn't be watching on TikTok. You should be watching on YouTube. TikTok, by the way, bans me every so often, so it's never for sure that I'll be here. Let's go here. I've been on TikTok a lot, though, recently. They haven't been kicking me off, which is nice. What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? I'm going to talk about the news. Okay. You can see too much of my apartment during the day. I don't know if I like this. Just see my kitchen. Where did the thing go? Hold on one sec. Chat. I need the chat. Okay. Cool, no one. Perfect. Glad I spent all that time pulling it up. Well, since there's no one here, I'm going to move it around and mess with it. Let's see what happens. Whoop, if I put it over here. They're kind of cool. So just to get a sense of the setup, I've got like my laptop's here. There's an iPhone filming. There's a secondary monitor, okay, where I read stuff. And then there's a TV, which is being mirrored. And the TV has the chats on it. So I just switched them over there. Okay, let's go here. We'll pull up some news. I mean, I guess we can start here. Kind of a bummer, but we might as well cover it. So last night, we'll go into some auxiliary stories and then hit the main one. So this was last night. Apparently, a plane collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport, which was very unfortunate. I believe both the pilot and the co-pilot are both deceased. They died in the crash. Well, they died, I think, shortly after. Maybe the first initial reports were that they were pulled somehow from the wreckage, and then I think we got additional reports last night that they did not make it. So that is obviously very sad. It's a little bit of a story besides just the tragedy, because it appears that there was possibly, it appears this may have been some sort of an error on the flight controller's part, which is extra unfortunate. So this was what first came out last night. It's the audio of the flight controllers. I guess it's a good place to start. Talking, I think this is during or just after that crash, so we can listen and you can hear their actual conversation here.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
Front.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Jet 646. Jet 646, I see you collide with a vehicle here, just hold position, I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000.
Heading 2000, go around, Delta 2603.
LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 2, runway 4 is closed, correct?
Yes, go on to runway 4 now. Proceed on runway 4, you have access. Frontier 4195, I got the be closed for a little while. If you want prepared to return to the ramp, let me know.
Yeah, that wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Truck 1
So, I mean, you heard it right there. That's all pretty crazy. That was the actual audio during the crash. You can hear them watching the crash happen. And then towards the end, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but you do hear not TSA, but the air traffic controllers saying that they were dealing with another emergency right before that. It was tough to watch the collision, and that one of them messed up, is what he says on the audio. But I'm seeing some reports today that might be a rumor that that person caused the accident. He may have been referring to something else. So I'm not sure that it's 100% that he made some sort of an error. But the story is that basically there was another flight that was unable to take off twice. They were smelling some fumes, as the gnat comes. They were smelling some fumes on board. That flight was parked on the runway, and then they requested a fire truck, right? Now, the air traffic control has been notoriously understaffed the last several years, okay? So what people are saying are basically they're understaffed. You have from previous government shutdowns as well, but also I was looking this up on Grok. It's various hiring practices. Apparently, the bar to become an air traffic controller is really, really high, and there's like a huge amount of attrition, right? Because it is like you obviously have zero room for failure, right? Or something like this happens. So they're understaffed already. There's another government shutdown, which apparently we're in the midst of currently. And so dealing with one emergency, try to rush a fire truck over there. Somebody missed something along the line and cleared a plane to land on that same runway, and it collided with the fire truck. Okay. This is, we'll see if we can pull it up here. CNN actually, oh, maybe it's gone. Anyways, they had a good little overhead of the timeline, but it was just on their front page. So maybe it's disappeared now. Oh, visual timeline. This is what I want to pull up. Let's see if we can even see it. So that is the 2384 is the other airline declaring an emergency. And then the fire truck, which is the orange, is cleared to cross the runway to that plane, which is when the other plane is also cleared to touch down and strikes it. This is actually video footage of the collision here. So there is the fire truck. And you can see why those two, the pilot and co-pilot of the plane, did not survive. This is pretty horrible impact. Right. So, I mean, the biggest question that this makes me think of is why aren't these controlled by AI already? We'll switch off of here. But you know, it's we talk a lot about AI taking people's jobs and stuff, but of all the jobs that you could possibly imagine AI taking, this is probably, I would believe, one of the most useful jobs for it to handle. Something where there's a lot of data coming in, where a lot's at stake, and you have to monitor hundreds, if not thousands, of different variables at the same time, and basically make the best heuristic decision based on whatever emergencies pop up. Now, I did grok this a little bit to see why we're not using AI. Apparently, they already are using some AI, these air traffic controllers. So they use it to help predict the weather. They have like a basic little kind of simulator thing, which gives them some decision type things, but not much AI. Their whole position, the FAA, is that it's a human job, and that it takes humans to do, because they have to read the emotional signals of pilots, which obviously is not something that AI is currently capable of. And they're saying current AI models are not equipped to handle this sort of like decision making. But to me, this seems like something, if you have Elon Musk building cars that have been trained on, thousands, millions of hours of footage of driving, why couldn't you? I would imagine you would soon have an air traffic control that's completely AI guided. If we can take out like 20 Ayatollahs in Iran with Claude, can we not implement this somehow to make it safer than human air traffic controllers, who can be subject to making mistakes or getting fatigued or getting stressed, when there's another emergency? So that seems like something that's coming to me. Okay, pivot now. Big story from, it was this weekend, really. But also today we had some updates on it. So war in Iran, this was Trump over the weekend. I think it was just yesterday. He issues an ultimatum to Iran, okay? He says if Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Okay, so he frames this as a true ultimatum. Like, you have 48 hours from the second that I sent this tweet or this truth, right? Or else we're going to destroy your power plants, all right? Now, Iran responded. I don't have the tweet here, but they responded with something saying that basically, if we do that, then they are going to escalate and start hitting some important targets, right? So they kind of pushed back. Then today you had, this was Trump. Well, this is my favorite part of it, really. This is him dropping a teaser about this. So first of all, I love that he announces this as if it's like, find out what happens in next week's episode of the Iran war. He's dropping teasers like it's a TV show. This is him with a reporter here talking about it. The reporter says, I had a phone call interview with President Trump today about Iran. Asked about the Strait of Hormuz and his ultimatum, POTUS said, you'll find out what's going to happen. Will they cave into the ultimatum? That's what she asked. He says, you're going to find out soon. It's going to be very good. Total decimation of Iran. It's going to work out very good. So just this whole, like, you're going to see what's going to happen. You're going to find out very soon. It's like he's dropping cliffhangers, you know? And it's interesting because he does have that history of dealing with reporters, of marketing, of running shows, where you do drop. Reason I'm pointing this out is because I think it plays into his persuasion capabilities. I think it plays into his deal making, especially on the world stage, when he's able to highlight things so well and kind of create drama out of nothing, create assets out of nothing, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit tonight. So today what happens? People are freaking out about this. Trump's escalating. He's a crazy man. The typical thing that happens when Trump issues some big ultimatum or some big threat that sounds crazy at first glance, right? Like, no sane person would threaten such a thing. It's too far. It's too much, right? Everyone freaks out. Well, what happens the next day? We hear from Trump. He releases a new truth here. So it's just today. I think less than 24 hours later. He says, I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of ongoing meetings and discussions. And he does his thank you for your attention to this matter. So if you're not counting, this is exactly what he did with tariffs, right? He would create leverage almost out of thin air, all right? The whole tariffs thing, and this is something that he's really good at doing, right? He creates what I call an imaginary asset or imaginary leverage, right? When he needs to be able to exert leverage over an opponent, in this case on the world stage, and he doesn't have that leverage, he will create it. And he'll create it through these big kind of threats. Whether he's going to enforce them or not, whether he can enforce them doesn't matter. It's creating that imaginary asset, that leverage that really counts, right? So you've seen it with the tariffs, right? Out of nothing, he creates this concept of using these big sweeping tariffs against opposing countries, right? And he wields them in such a way where he makes verbal threats about imposing them initially. And it's always a big threat, right? But then what does he do? Once the other side caves and starts negotiating with them, then he pulls back. He would switch the timetable of the tariffs just as he's doing here. So the big threat here, the imaginary asset, is we are going to destroy and obliterate your power plants, which would hurt Iran very hard. It would obviously have civilian impacts as well, which is why we don't just come in there and do it right out of the gate, right? It's a crazy threat. And he gives the timeline, they have 48 hours. Now, once Iran starts negotiating with him, he pulls back the threat that he's just created. All right, are you following? So he pulls it back. He expands the timetable. Now it's a 5-day timetable, right? This is, I think this is the same thing. This is just a reporter mentioning, CBS News. Breaking. President Trump says he's postponing his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz amid negotiations. So where did these negotiations come from? All right? Amid negotiations, right? Iran actually, so he was with reporters earlier. They were asking him, who he was negotiating with, right? Let's start there. Here's Trump talking about it. He says basically he doesn't want to reveal his source that he's been negotiating with because he doesn't want them to be killed.
Who's Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President? A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Reminds me of Biden, the way he talks about the alleged second Supreme Leader of Iran, right?
Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr.
President, I know you've deployed this. I don't want him to be killed.
It's true, and I don't think he means by us. I think he means by people in Iran who don't want him negotiating with them, right? So he claims to be negotiating with someone. Iran came back and basically called this fake. They said it's fake news. Whatever leaders they do have in place that can communicate with the world said, no, we're not negotiating at all, right? So there's confusion as to who he's negotiating with, if there's even negotiations, right? And then there's people from Iran saying, we're not going to take that deal. We're going to keep pushing. And they're issuing their own list of demands, right? This is what we want. This is the deal that we would want to get, if anything, right? So what is Trump doing here? He's basically making Iran think past the sale, all right? Before this weekend, right, was Iran negotiating at all? No. They were fighting a war to the death. That's it. Whether he's actually negotiating with someone or not, he's now put it out there. He's forced this idea into the world that he's negotiating with Iran and there's a deal to be made, right? So then Iran, the sale that he's making them think past is that there are negotiations and that there's a possible deal. By simply making them come out and say, we're not accepting this deal, there's no deal, we're not taking it, he makes them acknowledge that there is a deal to be had, and he makes them start to think about, hey, what deal would we accept? Do you understand? And then they're going to throw down their own demands. And ideally, for Trump, you're going to try to meet in the middle somewhere. So he's giving them an off-ramp here, all through this, creating the imaginary asset, the imaginary leverage, getting them to respond, right? Extending his deadline, and alleging that they're in negotiations, right? Giving them a deal that they can refuse so that they acknowledge they're in a deal-making process in the first place. So that's Trump. He had a good quote here. He says, he was just talking about deal making. They were asking him if he could make a deal. He says, my life is a deal. That's all I do is deals my whole life.
Well, and you reach
I don't think he's going to be a Newsmax.
if these talks go well and you reach a ceasefire agreement with Iran, do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace, guaranteed peace. If this happens, and I can't guarantee it, but I think it's going to. My life is a deal. That's all I do is deals my whole life. I think this is something that's going to happen. And why wouldn't it happen? So tomorrow.
So it turns out that maybe, just maybe, the best framework for being a president is just to be really good at making deals. Which kind of makes sense. That's sort of what you're doing, is just brokering deals with other countries, right? So maybe Trump, just unbeknownst to everyone, was just the best person for this position at this particular moment in time to come and make all these deals, right? And he uses more leverage here in the interview. He talks about they called me, they want to make a deal. And if they don't make a deal, then we'll just continue bombing our little hearts out, he says. So he's just exerting leverage.
So tomorrow morning sometime, their time, we were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plants that cost over $10 billion to build. It's a very good one. There was no dearth of money. And one shot, it's gone. It collapses. Why would they want that? So they called. I didn't call. They called. They want to make a deal. And we are very willing to make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. And it's got to be no more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. They're agreeing to that. Any of that stuff, there's no deal.
They called me, I didn't call them. They wanted to talk, I didn't want to talk to them. Here's him saying the line about, we'll continue bombing our little hearts out.
Together today by probably phone, because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with?
We'll just keep bombing our little hearts out. This is, by the way, let me find it. This was a graphic I saw today, just speaking of bombing our little hearts out. Apparently, we've hit 9,000 targets. Did you guys know that? In Operation Epic Fury. 9,000 targets. Just sounds pretty crazy to me. And that's, I think, what you get with AI. Is you go, I don't know how many were hit in the Iraq War in the initial couple opening weeks, but 9,000 seems insane. And I have a feeling that's due to AI being able to just mass choose targets and just assign what to hit very rapidly. So yeah, we will continue bombing our hearts out, I suppose. So that's Trump. He's putting us in a good position to at least negotiate an end to the war with no nuclear weapons. Here's Joe Kent. This was the guy that resigned from Trump's staff. He was the counterterrorism director. He resigned very publicly, saying that he didn't like Trump's position in Iran and that he didn't think we should have gone to war. So he's apparently flipped again today and is saying President Trump is working to get peace with Iran. If he can make this happen, it will be a very good thing for our nation and our allies in the Gulf. The Israelis will be against this, but POTUS is strong and can get them on board. Which is interesting. I mean, it's kind of consistent with his position that, he doesn't like the president being involved in Iran or getting mired in a Middle Eastern war. That's at least the position he's had recently on it. But it's just odd to see him suddenly come out and say, like, hey, good job. This could be great if he's able to achieve this, because he was talking some shit about it. So apparently flipping again. So, but yeah, this is where we are with the Iran war so far. Alleged negotiations with Trump. You have Trump setting up a very solid negotiation, which even that idea of negotiating didn't really exist last week, as far as I know. So we'll see if he can pull it off. And if he gets his Nobel Peace Prize for stopping a war he began. It'd be sweet. So that's that. What else we got here? Couple clips before we move on from Trump. Here's I have a little segment I call Trump stand-up comedy. That's just Trump doing little bits. He drops this stand-up throughout the day. Here's him talking about Chuck Schumer. He says Schumer's basically become a Palestinian leader. He's such a flip-flopper. Listen.
As you want to say, they're in a never land. Schumer is gone. I mean, he's a Palestinian. He should be fighting on the side of Palestine. He's actually become a Palestinian leader. I don't know. I've never seen a man change so much. He used to be pro-Israel. Now he's pro-Palestine. I've never seen anything like it. And
isn't he Jewish? Schumer? He's got to be, right? It's just a funny comment. Let's call him Palestinian. We're on 5 days. We went over that stuff. Yes, the other big news from tonight and recently is we have ICE now at the airports. We'll start here. This is a footage of the ICE patrols over at JFK Airport.
time. Okay. Go to time.
And someone says, breaking. ICE agents are now running full-blown patrols at JFK. ICE stepping up hard, patrolling terminals, managing crowds, keeping everyone safe, and taking the insane pressure off TSA agents who actually need to focus on screening.
I'll make sure you don't come back again.
So if you guys haven't heard, I guess the whole reasoning behind this is apparently, which I didn't even know, we're in like week 5 of a partial government shutdown. Did you guys even know that? I didn't really know until I connected it to this today. If a government shuts down in a forest and no one's around to realize, did you ever really have a functioning government at all? I feel like if you do a government shutdown and no one really notices, we should just fire the government. It reminds me of Elon Musk firing like 70% of the Twitter staff and it just kept going, like even more efficient than before. But yeah, I guess this is some of the stuff that's affected. Is recently we've heard there's, the TSA agents, I guess, aren't getting the funding, so the lines have become really long at these airports. So then Trump has this idea, which he claims is his own idea, to send in the ICE agents to go help. They're not going to be doing the TSA screening. They're just helping to patrol the area and provide security so that the TSA agents can focus on screening people and moving up those lines. At the same time, you have Democrats freaking out so much about ICE being in the airports that they're actually creating more disruptions, right? But you had Trump sending them in. Here was Trump on his great idea. He has a funny anecdote about his idea for sending in the ICE agents. Calls it the story of the paperclip.
What idea was that? To put ICE in the airport?
We're dealing really...
Whose idea was it?
Mine. That was mine.
Can I ask you?
That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it say, why didn't I think of that? ICE was my idea. First person I called was Tom Homan. I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's great. Then I saw today there was some masks on. I didn't think the masks were appropriate. I put out a statement and I asked them, would it be possible to take off the mask? Because they should wear a mask when they're dealing with the murderers and the thugs let into our country.
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, you can see him even there, on a side note, just managing the public perception of ICE. You can see it actually does matter to him how the public perceives the ICE agent. So suggesting there that they should remove their masks when patrolling the airports because there's no need to have their faces covered in that setting when they're not dealing with Trende Aragua gang members, when they're dealing with American citizens, which kind of mirrors, I think, towards the end in Minneapolis when he had the ICE agents out there, and in Minnesota. You could see that he got really unhappy with, obviously after the 2 shootings, particularly the second one, he didn't like the public perception that was shifting towards the ICE agents being out there. Whether you think that's wrong or right, he was just like, let's pull him back. Let's try to get him out of there, right? So it is something he has to manage, because anytime he has these ICE agents in, they basically frame him as a dictator, So he's trying to do something helpful, but also keep it as PR friendly as possible, I suppose, and try to manage it. Of course, we've got the midterm elections upcoming, so he's trying to really manage that at the same time too, right? He mentions this story of the paperclip, that he thought of this idea and it was so obvious, just like this guy who thought of the paperclip, right? It just reminded me of that, you guys heard that AI story? There's like a famous AI story where that's how the world ends, is that somebody programs AI to somehow max, I forget how the story goes, but it's something like they program an AI to create maximum human productivity or something like that, and so it creates a paperclip. I'm totally botching this story, but it basically creates 1 billion paper clips because it's somehow going to help human productivity, it thinks, until the world is full of paper clips and it just kills everyone. Anyways, that's what it made me think of. Another paperclip story, that's all I'm saying. I don't even know what the I want to look up AI paperclip. What is this? And the paperclip problem. The paperclip maximizer just because I botched this so bad, is a famous AI thought experiment. I should look up things before the show, probably, by philosopher Nick Bostrom. That's a big one. That's the guy who talks about it. It depicts a super intelligent AI with a simple, benign goal: make as many paperclips as possible. That, if unaligned with human values, could result in humanity's destruction. So that's where it is. It's basically doesn't take into account humanity's views. Told you. All right, so what else we got? Those are the ICE agents. My neighbors probably having sex in the hallway. I just live in a studio apartment in downtown San Diego. Here's Cuba. Talk is intensifying about us. Oh, hold up. Oh, I shouldn't have changed that dang thing. Can I do from here? Hold on one second. I think that's good. So Cuba had a power grid blackout just a couple of days ago. So talk is intensifying about us stepping up and taking over Cuba, which just the news is reporting on this. They're kind of pointing out Trump looks to sever Cuba from sponsorship of its foreign patrons, Chinese and Russian influence. So they're sort of detailing, you know, this would be all part of Trump's assumedly plan to make this final Western Hemisphere country friendly to the U.S. He's already done it with Venezuela. Venezuela and Cuba both had adversarial positions towards the U.S. where they were really friendly with China. They were really friendly with Russia. They supported each other. Of course, you saw the Cuban guards were the ones guarding President Maduro in Venezuela. And now you have Trump basically coming in and flipping these nations to non-communist, pro-America, theoretically, nations, any of them that are in the Western Hemisphere. So this would be the goal with Cuba, is sever the ties with Russia and China and to basically have that last domino fall where they call it the Don Roe doctrine or the Trump doctrine, where you have all of the Western Hemisphere countries friendly to the United States, right? Playbook he developed for Venezuela to pressure the communist Cuban regime to capitulate, thereby removing the last major bastion of foreign adversary influence in the Western Hemisphere. There's been a lot of talk about Cuba's having financial struggles. At the same time, you see things like their power grid wavering, going in and out. Do you guys think that's us doing that? Or is that just a natural, like their economy is so bad that their power grid is cutting in and out? I do think if you were looking to put pressure on them and you didn't want to pull a Maduro and go in and snatch the leader again, right? One way you could do that is by just adding to that that civil unrest and that economic struggle, that burden, right? By taking out the power every once in a while. You see, there's also, they were reporting in just the news that there are some odd demonstrations going on in Cuba right now, too. Like anti-government demonstrations that don't usually happen there in Cuba are happening currently. So we may be doing a sort of a soft takeover. This was the latest round of demonstrations included what one Cuba expert called an unusual act of defiance by protesters, burning down a local Communist Party headquarters. Sounds a little bit like Antifa, doesn't it? Something that they do. I mean, we know that we do these color revolutions in countries already, so it wouldn't be that hard to direct some of that towards Cuba's way. So that's all speculation on my part. I don't have any info about it, but interesting that the power grid keeps cutting in and out, and they might be looking for some financial relief soon, right? Here's I don't have the tweet here. I'm sure we could find it. I guess Robert Mueller died over the weekend. This was the guy who tried to prosecute Trump, wasn't it? Robert Mueller? Let me find the quote here. Was he, what was Robert Mueller's place? Former special counsel Robert Mueller, who investigated him in the Trump-Russia hoax. That's what I thought. So Robert Mueller died over the weekend, and Trump comes out with this bomb. He said, Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. Which is, immediately Democrats were coming out and freaking out on Twitter. Oh, this is exactly what they claimed we were doing with Charlie Kirk when he was shot. And I expect to see the same level of consternation now from them about this, and this is so horrible. I just thought this was funny. Because number one, he's just an old guy that died of natural causes or something, right? He wasn't murdered, right? I think the story about Charlie Kirk is really the reason conservatives were angry that Democrats were dancing and celebrating is because we were trying to discourage domestic terrorism. That's really what it was about, not honoring the dead in some way. It was really about the assassination and the celebratory dances over an assassination. So they totally missed the mark and the point, obviously. I just thought that was funny, though. And, Trump has no reason to like him, to be honest. The guy did try to fakely prosecute him. We know now that that whole Russiagate thing was a total hoax. So he did try to put this man in prison for the rest of his life over it. He failed, but I'm sure Trump is glad that he's dead. And I think it's earnest when he says he can't hurt innocent people anymore. Probably was doing that. All right, this is a crazy story. So technology news. Just when you thought you'd seen everything from AI, we've got AI cows now. AI cows. So this is an app called Halter, okay? And I guess how it works, this is a big problem on ranches and farmers. They've had to herd cows for forever, right? You have to build a ton of fencing. You have to have herd dogs. You have to manage the cows. You have to get them to the milking station. Your cows can get sick, etc., etc. Lots of farmers in the U.S., right? Well, these guys, they created this collar that they put on the cows, right? And it moves them just through vibrations and sound cues. And I think the occasional electric shock. That basically, it creates a geofence. So instead of having to put up physical fencing, these farmers can actually just create a geofence on their phone. And these collars keep the herd within the bounds of that fence. I guess it gives them vibrations or auditory cues when they run up against the barrier of that fence, right? And then they charge a subscription model. So it's like $5 to $8 per head for the cattle. And the farmers actually save money because they don't have to invest in all the fencing, the physical stuff, and the dogs and the herding process. They go straight to the milk station when you need them to. It monitors the cow's health, so you can check if a cow's sick, or it's going to alert you if one of the herd is sick, right? I'll play this little video so you guys can see. It's pretty cool, actually.
Our new venture into virtual fence with Halter. Halter works by sending a series of signals to a collar that the cow wears. Provides feedback to your smartphone so you can see where those cows are on an app. You can draw in fences with the click of a button. You can move your cows into that part of your pasture and graze for as long as you wish. The Halter collar is solar powered, and so it is really sealed. There's not a weak point for water to enter, and it worked. It's better for the animals, better for our bottom line, and better for our mental health. Our new venture into virtual fence with Halter. Halter works by sending a series of signals to a collar that the cow wears.
Stupid cows. Gosh. Herded by vibrations that they can never get away from. Oh my gosh, what happened with Nicki Minaj? No way. Collars that they can never put down, controlled by technology. Oh my gosh, a reminder. And scene. That's my... We've all got our cow collars in one form or another. I feel like I could have given a better performance on that. Damn it. It's fine. I grokked this a little bit, so it did add some additional context here. Because I was like, hey, how do you get these cows to like move just with vibrations, you know? And where does it say it? I don't know where it is here, but it's like, oh yes, it uses vibrations and sounds, and occasionally, where is it? It says like electric impulses, the occasional electric impulse. I'm like, it sounds like you shocking them cows. Am I right? I'm sure it's better for the cows, though. Oh, God. This was, we'll go into some crime news today. This is kind of making the rounds. So, a Seattle man who shot and killed an 8-month pregnant Korean-American woman and nearly killed her husband when they were driving to work has been found not guilty by reason of insanity. We've got another one. So this has been happening. There's a lot of high-profile stories in the news of these people that are murdering people and getting arrested, and they're all getting off, essentially, because they're being found insane, right? So I guess Cordell Gooseby murdered Alina Kwan and her unborn baby when they were stopped at a red light. Prosecutors did not charge him for killing the baby due to concerns about protecting abortion in the liberal state, which is also horrifying. But after hearing testimony from defense medical experts that Gooseby was insane at the time of the shootings, the prosecution agreed to have the case ended through the not guilty motion. This is the most insane part of the story. Gooseby will be committed to an institution and regularly evaluated to see if he is fit to be released into the public. Released into the public? I didn't realize that's even what they did with these. I mean, I could see maybe somebody's declared insane, so you spare them the death penalty, maybe. And you just stick them in an institution / prison for the rest of their lives. But I don't even have words. There's no way you can evaluate somebody for re-release into the society after they've done that, right? But apparently this is happening. And Elon Musk was commenting on it. I don't know if we'll be able to pull it up here. Musk. Elon Musk. He says this is insane. Oh, Matt Walsh was the one talking about it. He had a good, an interesting suggestion. He wants to kill him. Let's see if we can find it. So Matt says, the whole concept of an insanity plea is total nonsense. If someone is too delusional to understand that they aren't supposed to randomly shoot people, that's all the more reason to simply execute them. Society is not morally obligated to keep psychotic killers alive until they die of old age. It's madness. Which I kind of agree a little bit. To be honest, like sometimes, this is going to make me sound like a bad person, but sometimes, because I live in downtown San Diego, and there's just a lot of crazy homeless around. And sometimes you just see them gibbering to themselves, and you're like, man, what's the point? I mean, honestly, what's the point at that point? Wouldn't you just rather not be here if you're just crazy, like gibbering to yourself? But I would probably suggest, at the very least, putting them behind bars. You see, the problem is I would say like an institution for the rest of their lives, but the problem is I feel like these sorts of laws can just be milked. Like pretty much anyone can go in and convince a psychologist that they were crazy at the time that this happened. So many people are on drugs too, that's like half of them are just, you know, completely decked out on drugs, and those kind of make you crazy too. So I think Matt has sort of what a lot of people are feeling, which is, dude, at the very least, like, get this guy behind bars for the rest of his life. Stop treating these people like, I mean, to consider him for re-release at all is societally suicidal. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know how you even fix that other than getting rid of an insanity plea, right? Because it's some sort of one of those things that you could apply to anyone who wants to try for it, right? So I don't even know how you fix that. Probably at this point, just get rid of the reason of insanity thing. Why do we even have that? Pretty much everyone who kills someone is somewhat insane at the time that they do it, so... And they should still be found guilty. I think I just adopted Matt Walsh's position as I walked through the argument. Yeah, they should be treated the same as anyone else. Well, there's a couple other little stories. We'll do quick ones. This was the Poly Market bar. I talked about this the other night, but there was a bar where they were... Poly Market is the betting place where they bet on politics, and they set up this bar in D.C. to monitor the situation. So, like, if you're a dude who likes politics and prop bets and stuff, you could go there. They got all the big screen TVs, CNN, you know, for the nerdy guys who like to monitor the situation. I saw this clip. Too many girls. Just right out the gate. Way too many girls. This is like any other bar where you could get laid. That just looks lame. It does look kind of dumb when there's just like, it looks like a regular bar. It needs to just be like 8 dudes alone staring at the TV screens to be cool, oddly. So you had that. And then Trump, amongst everything else, negotiating, you know, ideally an end to the Iran war and bulleting between interviews. He had time to stop by Elvis's old home. This was Trump checking out an Elvis guitar. Literally checked out Elvis's old home and did a little bit about it. Here's him learning that Elvis did karate and asking if they thought Elvis could take him.
One that had the karate patch on it. Elvis had 2 8th degree black belts.
Cool. Just a little funny thing to end on. We'll do the jokes maybe one more time and then I'll head out. Head out for the evening. All right. As my bed appears. Thankfully no clothes on it tonight. If you missed the jokes, you can listen to them here. Where's this crap? Well, ICE agents are now helping... I feel like I want... No, this is fine. ICE agents are now helping out at U.S. airports during the shutdown. Finally, a government program where the people getting deported still have to wait in line like the rest of us. It's refreshing, really. They're officially Americans now. They too can experience the inefficiency of our government. Trump has sent ICE agents to airports to speed up TSA lines. Yeah. It turns out the fastest way through security is being undocumented. Yeah, that's why ICE is there. Help move those lines along. Or in this case, slow them down. Well, Iran has released a list of demands for ending the war. Yeah, they've threatened to blow up 1 Ayatollah per day until their demands are met or they run out of Ayatollahs. That would have been cool if I hit the damn button. Demand number 1, stop blowing us up. Please. Well, Trump says he's close to making a deal to end the Iran war. Yeah. Yeah, it's all part of Trump's plan to win a Nobel Peace Prize by ending the war he started. Yeah, he found an infinite peace glitch. You need another peace prize, you just start another war. Cool. That be the show tonight. I will be back. We moved the show up, so it's now 6 p.m. Pacific time. What is that? 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you like the show, share it with a friend. You can subscribe on YouTube. That would really help. I'm on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, some other one, Substack, stuff like that. So subscribe to any of those, because that's what I need to keep going, basically, subscribers on there. I need to get paid for this trash. At least a minimal amount. So share the show, join that. If you like the newsletter format, I do the Substack. I do like a morning newsletter version of the show every morning. So if you missed the show, you can just get a quick update sent to your email. It's free. So sign up there if you like it. And that's about it. I guess we'll end here. The early night shows starting now. So 6 p.m. from now on, Pacific time. And we're live Monday through Friday. All right. I'll see you guys later.